Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video, we're going to be going over some builds you can use for pre-patch for Retribution Paladins. The pre-patch is here, it came out today. Servers were down for a long time, so this is the only thing I'm going to really get to today. We're going to go over like a single target build, an AOE build, talk about probably what's best, maybe some things that I like that maybe other people don't like as much, and you can make your own decisions based on that. And yeah, we'll go through a single target build and an AOE build. Paladin points and Retribution points. You won't be able to see just right behind my camera, so I'll just go over what that is when I get to it. So we are on a single target build here for pre-patch. And so on the Paladin side, you're going to notice that you're going to start with a lot of stuff already selected. Well, it might even have like presets set for you. So you can go ahead and like remove those or whatever. And you start up from scratch or however you want to do it. But for single target, I basically you'll start with Hammer of Wrath and Retribution Aura. For the right side, we are going to grab Fist of Justice just so we can get down to Greater Judgment, Rebuke, Seal of Reprisal, and then we're going to grab Incandescence here. It doesn't do a ton of damage still. Still kind of tuned really low. Maybe it's where they want it to be, but it does do damage. So we're going to grab that. And then when it comes to the middle, so I have the Divine Sea talents taken just because, so I have some sort of mobility, right? Avenging Wrath, obviously. We're going to grab the 2% or the 4% crit here and 4% armor, which isn't nothing. It's close to nothing, but it's nothing. Not nothing. Now, you do not have to grab Blessing Protections here if you don't want to. I choose to grab these. You can instead like grab some healing stuff over here if you want. But generally, you're going to take sack and then this recompense, which will technically do damage for you on your next judgment by using your sack. So you'd want to use your sacrifice if you're taking this pretty regularly. And then when we get to the bottom, and then I do have Unbreakable Spirit as well. Gives us more divine protections and whatnot. Less cooldown on our defensives, essentially. And then we're going to go down here and get... we're going to take Aspiration just because it's there. We're taking Dusk of Dawn, and we're taking Seal of Order. Dusk of Dawn and Seal of Order especially. If you take one of these, you take the other, and this is kind of like a super strong talent, basically, the way it's tuned right now, and that's why you're taking this. Now, I did do a video of On Dusk to Dawn, so if you're like, oh, what the hell, I don't know how to play this, I did just do a video on it, so you can go back and watch that. I won't get into that here, but this does require a little bit of tracking buffs and stuff like that. When I come out with my actual ret guide for like 10.0, when Dragonflight's actually out, I will find weak auras and put those in the description below as well. If I can, I don't know if the import strings are working yet or not. If they are, I will also, just while I'm thinking about it, I'll put the import strings for these talent builds in the info below as well if you want to copy them straight up. Or you can do some changes to them, of course. So go down the left side, grab Dusk of Dawn, grab Seal of Order. That's what the one behind my camera, Seal of Order. And then down to the right of Aspiration of Divinity, I have 1 point in Seal of Might, and I do have Divine Purpose taken. Now, this doesn't allow us to get Sanctified Wrath, which is also really good, but it's not as good as this for single target. It also doesn't allow us to get Zealot's Paragon, but because Zealot's Paragon's been strong, nerfed now, like they're going back and forth. Right now it's at the nerfed version. That doesn't extend it very much. It only extends it by 0.5 seconds. And so that's why it's not that good. When it's 1 second, all of a sudden it becomes like a really, really strong talent you want to take. But at 0.5 seconds, it becomes quite weak. So that's why I don't have that down the right side. Now, there could be a world once we have all the talent points available that we do take that and we get rid of something else like Divine Purpose. But in this world, with the points available, this is going to be close to the highest damage possible for Paladin talents. And this is also the build that I would play as well. I believe that, so like, if you look up some simulation stuff, this will probably say this is the highest damage for Paladin talents for Ret. And this is also the build that I would play. Like I said, probably the biggest difference is just like stuff like, do you want Divine Protection or not? Or do you want some other crap? But as far as throughput talents, it's probably the way to go. Now let's go over and talk about the Retribution talents on single target. Probably some changes you could make here as well. Obviously, you have to take the first three things. You have to take Blade of Justice. You have to take Divine Storm, Art of War. I have improved judgment taken. It's judgment is just really a lot of your damage currently with this Dragonflight stuff. Improved Crusader Strike, that kind of goes with Aspiration Divinity. It also can trigger your Empyrean Power, which is the next talent that you have to take anyways. So it becomes somewhat useful in that way as well. It also helps with your Dusk of Dawn. If you're playing Dusk of Dawn at the absolute min-max of 5050 Holy Power, you need one generators in there. So it's also good for that. Then Holy Blade is taken here. Now, some people take Holy Crusader, 2% mastery instead of like improved judgment, for example. That's up to you. The mastery is probably overall maybe more damage, so maybe I should take that. But judgment just does a lot, and improved judgment is more for Zealot's Paragon. So you could just move this improved judgment probably over to this 2% mastery if you want. Next row, Empyrean Power, Divine Protection. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on that Shield of Vengeance is as good or better. Now, it does damage, so that's good, right? For pure throughput. But I can't think of a world where Divine Protection isn't actually better because it lasts for 8 seconds. And when I say that, I think of a situation where you're in a high Mythic Plus or a raid encounter where your where your Shield of Vengeance is popped immediately because it's only going to absorb this absorbs 30,500 damage, so it only absorbs that much, and then it pops, and then you're still taking all kinds of damage from everywhere else. Whereas this Divine, I'm thinking more of like, let's say a raid, right? And healer's using their raid cooldown, and you're using your defensive cooldown just to survive something. It's just a lot less, over the course of 8 seconds, it's like a lot less burden on your healers, I would say, if it's constant damage, right? Now, what I would say also is, because Shield of Vengeance still gives damage, if you're in a situation where your Shield of Vengeance has always been enough for you, so Shield of Vengeance has always been enough for you during this raid encounter, you can still just take Shield of Vengeance and get that extra damage, right? You don't have to take Divine Protection, but I do think Divine Protection is a better talent, and there's some people like that are arguing against it, and I just don't get it, because they've been fighting for it this whole time. Maybe they wanted both of them or something, but they've been fighting for it a long time, and it's 0.4 minutes longer than what people would like, but it's just a better talent in my opinion. But again, if you can survive with Shield and it does damage, then take Shield. If it's a fight where sometimes you just fall over and die because Shield doesn't do anything, then Divine Protection might be the answer. Then we take Blade of Wrath. We'll just go down the next row here. I have High Lord's Judgment, increased judgment damage. This is really good. Righteous Verdict. We have single target. After all, this does not do a bunch of throughput anymore. We are taking Wake of Ashes. We're taking Consecrated Blade. This is the thing that your Blade of Wrath, when it's Blade of Justice proc instead of Wake of Ashes, which we're going to take down here. When it's a Blade of Wrath proc, it puts a Consecration on the ground. So we'll take that for a free Consecration. We're going to take Inner Grace, 1 Holy Power every 12 seconds. We're going to take the Ashes Reset. They reverted a nerf on this. It's back up to 35%. In my opinion, that makes it worth taking now. We're going to take Crusade because it's just better than Avenging Wrath, and it seems like all the bugs with Crusade have been worked out that were on the beta over time. It seems like this last update that they did, the patch up, not the patch update, but the last hot fixes they did on the beta kind of made Crusade work all the time now with everything. So Crusade is just a better option in general. We're going to take Zeal. And then on the next row, we're going to take Exorcism for the single target. It doesn't do a ton of damage. I would say really between Improved Judgment, Holy Crusader, and Exorcism, like pick 2 of those 3, I would say. The Exorcism is going to do more damage, but it doesn't feel good to press like during your Crusade or anything like that, right? Because you want to be spending. So it doesn't feel great to press, in my opinion, during that time. Obviously, feel isn't everything if you just want the damage. So it does do some good amount of single target damage, so you can just grab that as well. For pure throughput people, it's probably Exorcism and Holy Crusader. But I would say those are kind of like the 3 that are like, which 3 do I want? And then we're going to take Healing Hands just to get down to the bottom. We're going to go Ashes to Ashes to get our nerfed tier set back reinstalled. And then we're going to take Final Reckoning even for single target. And that's just because we don't need Final Verdict. Well, first, we don't want to go this way for Final Verdict or Templar's Vindication, because we actually have Final Verdict on our Legendary, and we have Templar's Vindication on a Conduit. so we don't need to go take those. We have Divine Toll with Ringing Clarity, so we're not going to take a Divine Toll without Ringing Clarity here and overwrite that. So instead, we're just going to go down here and grab Final Reckoning. So essentially, we get Final Reckoning, Final Verdict, and Divine Toll as long as we're doing Shadowlands content, and that's why that would be the choice even for single target, right? So we're getting 3 of the 4 capstones by doing this, so that's why you go with that. Okay, so that's single target. Let's go through AOE real quick. Try to make this not last too long. I do like to give a little bit of an explanation though as I go. So you're going to see it's mostly going to look the same on this side. I do grab, so when I think AOE, I think Mythic Plus, right? So I did grab, go back over to the Paladin side. I do grab Blinding Light. I do grab Cleansing Toxins. I do grab Devotion Aura because you're probably going to be the only Paladin in your group many times. And so having Devo Aura for your group is helpful. Obviously, you lose out on damage yourself if you do that by not having your Ret Aura up. But that's up to you. You don't have to do this stuff. This is just to be a good teammate, right? Same with some people saying, well, are they going to take their kick? Or you're not going to take your kick as a talent. If you want to be a good teammate, you can grab that stuff, but you don't have to. You're not losing any throughput, really. In my build, technically I'm losing recompense or whatever for throughput, but yeah, it's not that huge of a deal. Other differences, you're going to keep going down the right side. You are going to grab Incandescent still. Then you do want to grab Hollow Ground either way. There's going to be some differences here at the bottom between probably what I'm saying and what maybe some other people might say. I threw a 1 point into Seal Crusader just because I need 1 point somewhere. That was my leftover point, essentially. And I'm actually going to go down the middle here. So I'm going to take Unbreakable Spirit, just like we did in single target. Divine Purpose, good for AoE. Seal of Might. And then I'm going to take Sanctified Wrath over Seal of Order. Now, Seal of Order might just be more damage, but Sanctified Wrath does a ton of damage. It's also really fun to play. You don't have to worry about the Dusk of Dawn stuff if you don't want to. And you're not going to lose out. If Seal of Order is more damage than Sanctified Wrath, it's not like a ton more for AoE purposes, right? It's not a ton more damage. So you could probably take either. I believe what the numbers will probably say is that Seal of Order might be better. I'm not sure on that, though. I prefer Sanctified Wrath myself. You can do a lot of just huge burst damage. The Seal of Order is also more uptime. It's more defensive. It's like more damage outside of your cooldowns, essentially, right? Whereas this is putting everything into your wings as normal. If you were to take that, you would just simply do the same thing as single target. You go down Recompense. You grab Aspiration Divinity. Grab Dusk of Dawn. You grab Seal of Order. And then instead of putting your 1 point here in Seal of Might like we did in our single target, if you remember on single target we had 1 point of Seal of Might just kind of sitting here. Instead, that point is just over on the hallowed ground, right? So that would be your option there. So I am losing out on this Aspiration Divinity as well by doing it this way. Losing out on whatever recompense damage, but then again, Mythic Plus isn't always the best place to sack somebody. Sometimes it is, but it's not always the best place to sack somebody. So that can be a little bit dangerous. So that's up to you. Sanctified Wrath or Seal of Order. And then I kind of went over how to change those up if you want to. On the Retribution side for AoE, probably a little bit of difference here as well. You have to take the ones that you have to take. I take Holy Blade and Improved Crusader Strike to get down. Next row, Empyrean Power. Divine Protection, Blade of Wrath. So I did skip over Improved Judgment for this one. I skipped over the Master again. I also just, on retail, I have a really high amount of Mastery on my gear. So the 2% Master has huge diminishing returns for me. Empyrean Power, I already went over that. So we have High Lord's Judgment. Then we're going to skip over the Righteous Verdict, like we had in single target, because obviously that's a single target ability. Sanctify, which is a really good talent. The enemies hit by your Divine Storm take 100% more damage from your Consecration. So your Consecration is just doing 100% more damage for all of the AoE, essentially. We take our Wake of Ashes. We take our Consecrated Blade, which once again puts down a free Consecration. We go down to the next row. We're going to take Sanctification instead of Inner Grace. This gives us Holy Power based upon enemies hit by Consecration. So once again, that's good for when you have a lot of enemies in your Consecration. Here, this is a hard one. So Radiant Decree is it's probably a little bit more damage. In my testing though, over time with this 35% rate, over time my Wake of Ashes did more than Radiant Decree. And all the testing I did, all the numbers guys seem to say that Radiant Decree is better though. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's correct. They're probably super close, but Radiant Decree is really cool to play. I'm actually going to activate it myself just because it is kind of fun to play. So you can kind of do whatever you want here. Ashes to Dust, Radiant Decree. Yeah, obviously with Ashes to Dust, you're just hoping more for, I hope it procs that 35% chance, whereas Radiant Decree is guaranteed damage, so maybe that's like the plus to it there. We're still going to take Crusade because it's working properly. Once again, it works with Sanctified Wrath now as well, which I have taken. We take our Zeal as normal, go down the next one. Exorcism, not very strong. I already went over that for single target, but for AOE, it's like even weaker, essentially. So you don't have to take this. You could put this maybe in the 2% mastery. That's up to you. I expect some tuning on this eventually, in theory, but it just isn't that strong. You'll see if you do like a Mythic Plus with it, how low the damage is for your Mythic Plus, because it just doesn't do much. Healing Hands, then we're going to take Tempest of the Lightbringer, so that's the AoE. So this is an important thing too when we're talking about builds. I mentioned in single target, we're still going to be using like our Final Verdict legendary, right? Now for AoE, we have Tempest of the Lightbringer legendary, but we're going to be using this talent instead. So we're not going to be using the legendary. We're going to be using pretty much any other legendary. Magistrate's Judgment, Vanguard's Momentum. You can use pretty much any other legendary, essentially, that's not single target. They're all pretty much close. So whatever one you have crafted, or you can try to craft one. I think Vanguard's Momentum and Magistrate's Judgment are probably the best two options there. So you could, Relentless Inquisitor's probably decent as well. We're not going to be taking that talent right here. So those are kind of like your options for AoE legendary, because we're taking this Tempest of the Lightbringer as a talent. Next row, we have Ashes to Ashes again. That's once again like a nerfed version of our tier set bonus. We have Virtuous Command and Final Reckoning, same as single target. So again, that's because this isn't useful to us at all, and we already have like a better Divine Toll right now. So we're not going to take Divine Toll, and so we take Final Reckoning. Normally in like your complete build, like once you don't have your Shadowland stuff anymore, we take like Divine Toll with Final Reckoning anyways. So we still have the two things that we would take anyways. We just are going to keep using the better version, which is the Shadowlands version. So I'm going to apply changes actually and play with Radiant Decree because it is fun to play with. And yeah, that's a good AoE build. I believe the AoE build will be extremely close to whatever, guide or whatever you find on like Wowhead will say on the ret side. And I believe that they'll probably go with Seal of Order. I just prefer to play Sanctified Wrath. That's just what I like to do. So yeah, that's it for this one, guys. Here's some builds you can use. Like I said, if I can figure out how to import these strings, looks like I can do that. If it works, I will put those in the description below, and you can use them if you want, or you can just use them as a template and go from there, and switch this one over to Seal of Order if you want. But yeah, those are the options for you there. Good luck to everybody. We're doing a lot of damage in pre-patch. A lot of classes will be. I don't know if we're going to be one of the best or not, but we certainly are stronger because we don't have to take some of these talents, and we already have them baked in with our legendaries and stuff. So that's where we are there. So as always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody have a good one.